rich people, they look terrible. I remember people telling me like rich people look terrible. Like they're not out here trying to impress anyone.
Hi, I'm Amber.
And hi, I'm Brenda, and this is the Minority Millennial Money Podcast. Welcome back to episode 4 of the Minority Millennial Money Podcast. Today, we want to talk about net worth, what it is, and I'm personally invested in talking about how it relates to our self-worth and how net worth is not a concept that's commonly talked about in our communities as people of color and why that is.
Yeah, I mean, like I think people aren't tracking their net worth because I think at least the Black community were disproportionately poor. And so, people are trying to live day to day. You know what I mean? Like people are trying to figure out how to pay their light bill. Not everyone, of course, but for the majority of our community, that's where people are at. And so I think it's tough for minorities, at least like, for me, like, making money to talk about my net worth with people who are struggling still. So I think it's important to have this discussion so that there are people out there who, are just coming upon money that kind of know what to do with it.
Right. And it's something to track to see where you're headed, right? And it causes you to have a wealth building mindset. Yeah. Because once you change your mindset about your money, then that's when your life really changes. When you're able to bring in more money and not just make it day to day, but you're actually able to save and invest, then that's the time when you are able to start tracking your net worth. And honestly, like I think you and I both follow Twitter accounts on which people are tracking their net worth, even though it's negative, right? Because they're paying off debt and their first milestone is to just get to a net worth of 0. And I think that's so admirable because people are working towards that and they have faced their debt and they're taking control of it. They're paying it off and they're just trying to break even first. And then they can slowly start building wealth. So it doesn't mean that you have to make a lot of money or have a lot of money, but like we talked about in the budgeting episode, I think it's important for us to come face to face with our own personal numbers. And the reason I brought up self-worth was because within the FIRE community and personal finance, I feel like a lot of people maybe don't like to hear what others' net worth is, because then they're like, oh, well, I'm only at 300,000 and that person's at $1 million already, And I personally, I'm very happy for people who are already there. And having come from a situation in which there was never a sense of building wealth, like if I lost 100,000 tomorrow, I'm still a worthy person and I'm still a smart person and I'm still capable of making all of that back, right? So I just want to make sure that listeners know that we don't think we're better than, or we don't think that having a certain number as a net worth makes you a better person. It just means that you're a little bit further along on your path to being financially independent.
Yeah, so that brings up a good point, actually, because I think we've both talked before about purchases, right? I know you were like trying to get a luxury car at one point. I've talked about, buying cars. And I think like one of the reasons why I've been able to kind of like abstain from that materialism is my net worth, actually. Like knowing like, oh, I have this amount of money. Do I want to reduce it for a material thing? And it's one of these interesting things, because I remember when I was younger growing up, we used to see people with like, horrible cars, like beaters basically. And they, had like rags on. And I remember people in my community be like, those are people that are filthy rich. And I remember thinking like, what does that mean? Like, why would you say that? And they're like, rich people, they look terrible. I remember people telling would be like, rich people look terrible. Like they're not out here trying to impress anyone. And I think that that's true. And that's something that I've been feeling a lot lately. Like I will wear Target clothes. I will do whatever I want because odds are whatever building I walk into, I can own it.
Right.
I can own it. I could purchase it. So I don't need to
Right.
look good for
Front.
someone because I don't care.
Right. Right.
Um,
I would say I'm a little bit more on the spendy side of the fire and personal finance. I mean, I like designer bags. I really love cars, but now I'm at the point where I have a paid off car and it's not a luxury car and I can live with it and it gets me from point A to point B. I mean, will you find me at a car dealership, maybe test driving a car every few months? Maybe, but I never sign on the dotted line. Okay. But I know what I value and I know what I'm willing to reduce my net worth a little bit for. And so as long as I'm clear on that, I'm okay. But yeah, do I need to have like the nicest clothes and the nicest car and live in the fanciest part of town? No, I don't. Because ultimately, future Brenda is not going to be thankful that past Brenda lived in the nicest part of town, I mean, of course I don't live in a sketchy, like dangerous
or,
part of town, but there's a happy medium in there. And why does it matter if you want to retire early that you track your net worth?
I mean, I just think that knowing what your numbers are helps you know how much you have and how early you can retire. I mean, is that how you kind of look at it?
Right. So the general rule in the fire community is that people save up 25 times their yearly salary that they plan to live on. So if you plan to live on $50,000 a year, which is going to be a lot less in 20 years from now. So consider that, right? Consider inflation. But let's say there was no inflation and you want to live on $50,000 a year. Considering that you withdraw 4% of your portfolio, this is all assuming it's in a taxable account that you can withdraw before age 59 and a half, because it's not a 401k or a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, then you have to save $1.25 million. And at that point, you can start withdrawing 4%. But there are some people, like I know Paula Pant on the Afford Anything podcast has said 6% is the new 4% because of inflation and because you just may need to withdraw more at that time. So because neither of us are really trying to retire that soon, like we know some people that have retired at age 30, but
Mm-hmm.
both of us are kind of like on slow-fi, right? And I enjoy my work and I don't see myself really leaving completely. I'm not super aggressive about reaching that 25 times marker, but that's just something that people in general use. And I think it's good to have a set goal. Like I want to get to 1.25 million by age 45.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's good goal setting, but you can't have that goal if you don't know where you stand right now.
Right.
And
Right.
how would I go about calculating it?
So I actually just have an Excel spreadsheet. And I know people calculate different things when we talk about net worth. So I don't own any property currently. What I do is I count all of my retirement accounts, all of my
Okay.
pension plans, because I've been working in government for the past 6 years. And I also
Right.
count, my savings account and my brokerage account. I do not count my
Okay.
checking account. So,
Okay. Okay. I count my high yield savings account, which is my emergency fund. I count my taxable brokerage, my retirement accounts, the equity in the homes that I rent out. And that's it, really. And I use an app called Personal Capital. It's really great because I can also connect all those accounts and I can just go in, it updates automatically for me, and it tells me what my current net worth is based on the current status of all those accounts. Some people are a little bit skeptical about, connecting all your bank accounts to a third party app, but I've never had a problem with it.
That's interesting. So it counts it for you.
Mhm. Yeah. You can connect like my Fidelity retirement account. I connect it and it keeps track of its growth. So I don't have to manually go into the accounts and find the balance, which is
Right.
nice.
That makes sense. That's an
So
interesting idea.
yeah, and there's a couple of apps like that. I believe that Mint does it as well. I really like the format and usability of Personal Capital. But speaking of our savings accounts, one of our listeners asked us to address this because a meme came up on Instagram. And if you're one of our YouTube viewers, you can see it. Amber's going to show it to us and I'll describe it. And I want to read it word for word because I think the motive is good, right? The intention is good, but perhaps the practical technique is not the best. So this is like a black background and it says in white letters, checking account $8,644.68. And then it says savings account $111,881.00. So this person has over $8,000 in checking and 111,000 in savings. And then it says claim it, prayer emoji, and heart. And so, although it is good to have that much money, why would we not want that much money in checking and savings, Amber?
I mean, this whole meme is just insane. So first of all, I don't believe for a second that this person has this money in his account. That's why I think it says claim it. This is somebody who doesn't
Claim it.
have any money because anybody who has money would know that this is an ultimate no-no. First
Right.
off, money in your savings account should only be your emergency fund, meaning 3 to 6 months of income or whatever you think you need in your savings account should you lose your job or should some emergency occur. Personally, I don't keep that much in my savings account because I have credit cards. So, I have
Right.
a little bit of money in my savings account, enough money to live off of for 3 or 4 months or whatever. Um, but I want to maximize the amount of money that's going to go into my brokerage account. So, because that's the money that's getting the high interest rate. So,
Right.
again, like we were talking about earlier with inflation, if you think about it, a dollar in 1980 was different than a dollar today.
Right.
You always heard your parents say, like, back in my day, I could go to the store and I could get this and that for a nickel or whatever. That's because of inflation. Dollars lose value every day. So, by the fact that
Right.
your money is not collecting interest, that means that you're losing money. And a
Right.
lot of it, if you have $111,000 in a savings account, when you can put that money into, a brokerage account, I don't even know how you get to this point if you're maxing out your 401k.
How much money are you making that you could have that much in savings? Right. So this person is not making their money work for them. Right. I think that's the moral of the story is that money that's just sitting in a savings account with a 0.05% interest rate, you're actually losing money because inflation's about 2%.
Right.
So you're losing 1.95% of that money every year and you're not making it work for you. So I think this person was trying to like, how do you say, like brag a little bit, like, oh, or maybe say like, this is what you should aspire to. But this is the problem in our communities is that when we get money, we don't even know what to do.
Yep. So leave it in your account. Insane. Also, I will say that the checking balance I think was a little high.
Oh,
Um,
for sure.
you should only have
I don't
money.
know what you,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
your bills cannot be that high. Like,
Unless you have
you don't
multiple
need to have
properties,
8,000.
multiple rent payments, multiple mortgages. I mean, I don't understand why you would need $8,000 in your checking.
Right. Right.
I mean, you only
So
need money that you
based
pay your bills and
based on the other episodes we've done, I think people know that they should be contributing to their retirement account and investing in the market. So those are places that you can put your money to work, assuming you're not going to spend it. Like if you have 100,000 in your savings, I hope that you're putting that as a down payment on a house like
Yes.
tomorrow.
Yes. Agreed. That's a good point. So if you are going to make a big purchase, if you're going to buy a house, if you're purchasing like a big vacation or a wedding or something, absolutely you should have that. Maybe you might need to have that much money in your checking and in your savings for sure. Um, but I don't know that that was the intent of the meme. So I don't think this person was going to purchase a wedding or a home.
Right, right, right. So I think that is a good lesson, right? Say you do come into some money, get your first job where you're making a good salary and you're able to save a significant amount, you need to immediately think of what job that money can do for you, right? Is it going to go in the market and grow over time? Are you going to put it towards another investment like a home, which we can have another episode in which we talk about if a home is an investment or not? I know you
Oh,
have a lot of thoughts on that.
yes, we need a real estate episode.
Yes. So, real estate episode coming soon. That's it for today. Message us if you have any questions. We are Minority Millennial Money on Instagram. We are MM Twitter, and both of our emails are on our website, mmmoney.org.
Yes. Good seeing you guys.
Bye.